Executive Department. Executive power is under both the 1935 Constitution and Article 7, Section 1 of the present Constitution, in which President is the head of the state and the head of the government. President also, it is not like the position of the Prime Minister. President under the present charter is purely an executive according to De Leon 1999. Executive power refers to the power to administer and enforce the laws. President is empowered to enforce include the Constitution, the statutes, presidential decrees, executive orders of the presidents, decisions of courts, treaties, and the generally accepted principles of international law which have become part of the law of the land. The other powers of the presidents are categorized as administrative, military, and diplomatic. Furthermore, the Constitution also grants the presidents under or other power that do not involve the execution of any provision of law, such as his power over the country's foreign relations. By virtue of the doctrine of check and balance among the co-equal and independent branches of the government, namely legislative, executive, and the judiciary department, there is an interpenetration of powers among these branches. Thus, the legislative has executive and judiciary functions. Also, the legislative has executive and judiciary functions. And lastly, the judiciary also has the legislative and executive functions as well. Qualifications of the President and the Vice President. It is written in Article 7, Section 2 and 3 of the Charter provides for minimum qualifications of the position of President and the Vice President. Section 2 provides the basic or the minimum qualifications of President. First, he is a natural-born citizen of the Philippines. Second, he is a registered voter. Third, he is able to read and write. He is also at least 40 years of age on the day of the election. The last one, he is a resident of the Philippines for at least 10 years immediately preceding such election. The Vice President must have the same qualification also as well as the President. It is written in Section 3. There is no educational requirement for both President and Vice President, only the ability to read and write. In case of a tie in elections, however, the President shall be chosen from a vote of a majority of all the members of Congress in a session assembled in Section 4, Part 5. The Vice President is elected independently for the President, unlike from the USA or the United States of America, where the President and Vice President are elected as a team. There are also term of office of a President, the elected President, and the Vice President. It refers to the period of duration or the duration of time during the officer may claim to hold the offices as a right. The term of office is 6 years for both President and the Vice President, which shall begin at noon at the 30th day of June following the day of election and shall end at the same date 6 years thereafter. Election and term of office of the President and the Vice President. The President and Vice President are elected through a system of direct voting. This system is considered as more democratic and in keeping with the Filipino culture and tradition that they individually vote for their leaders. The elected President and Vice President will take the following oath-taking embodied in Article 7, Section 5 before they begin the office. It is very important to have an oath-taking because it is mandatory and it marks their induction of the Vice President and the President of his office. Oath is an outward pledge made under an immediate sense of responsibility to God. If the selected president or the vice president does not believe in God, he will make an affirmation. Instead of saying, I do solemnly swear, he declares, I do solemnly affirm. In such case, he omits the last sentence, so help me God. The official residence of the president will be the Malacanang Palace and shall be determined by law. His official residence is maintained, supported, furnished, and protected through the public funds. The compensation of the president and the vice president shall be provided also by the law. During their term, they are not allowed to receive any other emolument from the government. It is not also increase or decrease. Their salary will not increase nor decrease because it is fixed by the law. The Constitution fixes the annual salary of the president at 300,000 pesos and the vice president at 240,000 pesos.